Hello and welcome back to the bunker. Sorry it's been a little while since I've done some movies, but thought it was about time I uploaded another one. So this has been quite an epic board beyond all belief, so apologies for not having more videos. But this movie is about the Orc project that some of you may have heard me doing, and it's a close-up view of each of the boards in turn and how they are sort of put together for the client, because some of the boards have been extremely complicated to put together, so trying to sort of explain how all the parts come together on the board was probably quite difficult through writing. So that's what these movies are for, is to help the client to actually put the parts together and build the board. Okay, these are the two boards put together. So this is how both of these boards sort of come together. They only go together in one way, so you know, it's like an integrated setup. Okay, so this is what the board looks like completely deconstructed. So this is the board in its raw state with all the pieces removed. So I'll just give you a quick flyover of that, and then here's the pieces we've got. So we've got the large rear tower, and then the main tower comes in 2 or 3 parts with its sort of hoist, and then we have the smaller tower at the front, roof section for the little ante-room in the courtyard, the various different catwalks, the large fury weapon and the smaller turret, some extra sort of catwalk joining pieces, extra ladders which go in various places, which I'll explain in a minute. Then you have the top of the main walls, which I've made removable, so just show you that. So I've made them removable so you can get in behind the actual main wall if you want to hide troops or things in there, or even just for cleaning. It's quite handy to be able to take those sections out and be able to get in behind. So now we're going to start sort of constructing the board into its sort of full state. Okay, so the first part we're going to put in is the ramparts. The first piece, it's held in with magnets along the timber work, so that fits in and just snaps in place, and then the magnets hold it firm so it won't move around during gameplay. And spinning the board round, you have the other rampart wall section. But offer that up in its position, you'll find that the slots are cut, so the main sort of vertical poles will just sort of hold and help hold that in place. Again, it's got magnets throughout, so that will hold nice and firm. Okay, so I'll spin the board round so I can get to the front easier. We'll put in the first tower, which is the small tower. So this is the small tower here, the one with the sort of crane section on it. That's removable, so if it's not put together in the packaging, it probably won't be. I'll wrap that separately. That goes in there. That's also magnetically connected, so it moves. But it also comes with this little magnetic extra foot on the bottom of it. That allows the tower to be sat and used as a scatter piece of the terrain. You can see there's hidden magnets in the ramparts. So the base has got small magnets in each foot, and they will connect onto the metal plates, and then that will hold fairly firm. So we'll spin the board around again so we can get to the first of the catwalks. I've made a catwalk go from one side of the wall to the other. So this is the catwalk with the teeth sort of in the front, and that is supported by this piece here with the ladder in it. So that's got small magnets in its feet, so that connects here, so that will stand up by itself at that point. And then we feed the catwalk in underneath where the sandbags are on the small tower we've just put in. You can then wiggle it down through, so the pointed section of the support goes in between the 2 slots that have been cut out. Give you a closer look at how that fits together. So you have the 2 sharp sticks either side of the small sort of slots cut in to the actual model, that side, and then underneath you'll see that, well, you won't see, but there's the magnet underneath the actual catwalk holds inside the actual tower section. If I can get a look through there, that allows miniatures to climb up the right hand side small tower, across the gate, and then down onto the left hand wall section. And then we'll just have a quick look at the gate, which is also made to open both ways depending upon which way you like, so you can fold the doors in, or the doors can be folded out. Once the tower's in place, you can then put in the first of the main guns, the Fury gun, which can sort of be sat in either position. There's magnets holding the guns in, so that they can be repositioned and, you know, span around depending on which way you want them facing. They also can be switched, so the smaller turret cannon can come into the front, so that sits nicely there. And there's a smaller gun which is also magnetically held, so that can be spun around to face various different ways. But it's in its primary position. You can have it either way round. So I'll just place the Fury gun in there for the moment, and I'll just spin the board round so you can see the other gun position, which is this one here. So for the moment, I'll just put the smaller turret there, so that can be moved and spun into different positions, and the top turret also moves as well. Okay, so we'll spin the board right round to its rear position. So we can take a look at the back, and we'll place in the main tower, which goes here. This is held in with 2 bolts, so just remove the bolts first. Again, I've painted the base of it so you don't need to use it. You can put other items there or set up different pieces if you don't want to use all the towers to gain more access to the back. Okay, we'll start by putting the tower on the base, roughly working out where the bolt holes are going, and that will just sit nicely in there with the ramp section towards facing the other board. Okay, and then when it's roughly lined up, you can drop the bolt into the hole, and then using the Allen key that's provided, just give that a few twists until you find the hole. If you're struggling finding the hole, then lift the base up with your finger on top of the bolt, and then locate the hole by looking through before dropping it back down, and then just giving it a few turns with your hand, and then that should then provide you enough sort of start to then do the thing up. Wouldn't do it up too tight for the first time, and then go round and do the second bolt. So once the first bolt is in position, you'll be able to feed the second bolt in underneath. This one's a little bit more tricky, so you can always do this one first if you like. There's a hole in the top of the sort of flooring which will allow you to pass the Allen key through it, so you can actually give it a few twists from there. It's a bit tight, but you should find with a bit of practice you should find it goes in there okay. You can always use the smaller end if it's easier, and then just give that a good few turns until it's fairly tight. You don't need to over tighten it. It's most of the weight is from above, so they don't need to be that tight. They just need to be sort of tightened, sort of finger tight, so that way it holds the tower base in position. So once it's bolted, you'll find it's nice and firm and held in position. And then the next piece, the next tower top, we can put on to this plate, which is magnetically connected, so that just drops on. Okay, and then we can then add the next tower section, which is the crane section, which has a chain with a round ring and a hook. The round ring goes down through the main hole for the hoist, and the little hook needs to be fed through a very small hole which is just in front of the main hole, which helps keep tension on the chain, so when you're turning it, it will sort of work out. Through, you'll be able to connect the counterweight to the hook, so just feed that up underneath and just place that over the hook. that will give you some tension on the actual chain, and then the little sort of hoist sort of flooring section then just magnetically connects to the end of the chain. Having it magnetically connecting just sort of helps with its dismantling and things, but obviously if you put too much weight on that hoist, it will just drop off its chain. So once the hoist is attached, you'll be able to use the small wheel on the top to lower and raise the actual hoist. Once the main tower's in, you can then put on the chimney. The main tower top has a little hatchway that can be raised up for people to drop down through, and then the chimney just connects on the top with magnets, so that can be rotated into any position that you want it to face. So with the main towers in place, we can put the catwalk across, so you have a flat section on one side and a sort of angle section on the other. The angle section goes over to the smaller tower, which has a magnet in it, and then it just sits down. There's a slot cut in the sort of lower round section, so that just sits in there with magnets, so that's quite smaller catwalk put in position. We can then put in the large rear tower. The large rear tower sits on blocks which have got magnets in again, and the bottom of the tower has that faces with the little sort of lower balcony facing to the back of the board. They will locate onto the two blocks, and then with a bit of shuffling around you should find the front magnets, and again once that's all in position, that should stay fairly firm. With the tower now in position, we can spin the board around and place the catwalk between the large tower, main tower, and the large rear tower. So the larger of the catwalks is designed to fit in between the two spaces. Again, you don't have to use it, but there's no way up to the upper section without it. So the catwalk enables you to access the top. So there's a flat end and a rounded end. The flat end with the two wooden sort of posts goes towards the large rear tower, and then with a bit of wiggling around you'll find that the curved section drops into the front. We're now going to add the little roof section to the interior room of the courtyard. It's a bit tricky to get a camera in there, so I'm just going to sort of squeeze round and just place this through. So I'm just going to reach through and put the roof section on the small room on the interior. So it's sort of a bit tight, but it basically has to slot in at an angle. So you sort of have the left hand side lower than the right hand side. Slide it in through the gap, and then it should drop down, and then that will allow you to put the roof on, get access to it. And then there's a small door that can open or close depending upon how you want to use the room. Inside the room there's a small sort of exit that reaches round to the outer wall. Okay, that's the main construction done. Now we have some ladders and some secondary sort of details to add in. So we have some ladders. So this ladder in particular, with the straight sides that aren't too poking out, with the sort of round dots in, that sits in this hole here. So you can slide that down through there till it gets to the bottom. That gives them access to the upper ramparts. So we have another ladder that goes up the back of the small tower. That can just sit in the front. I haven't made these magnetised because I think they just happily sit there on there. So that will sit in there like that. I've removed the catwalk just to make it a little bit easier, so I'll drop that back in now. We have a small wide ladder. There's two wide ladders, so it's the shorter one which is the one that sits in the large rear tower. That again just rests there so they can get access to that small little platform. So I'll spin the board around so you can see the back of the board, and there's a short ladder. So that gives you there's a little ladder that sits in there just to give you access to this smaller platform at the on the crane, on the main crane. The ladders can be used in various positions. They're all loose, so if you wanted to add ladders in a different position that they've not been made for, then that's fine. And we have the second larger ladder, and that slots in to this position here. Take note, there's two magnets, sort of exposed magnets. This is to give power to the other board when the two boards are together, and then you have a little single chain. I created a little sort of access point here, and the chain feeds right the way down through the hole down to the lower level. So effectively, if the orcs wanted to climb the chain, they could go from this platform at the bottom up to this midsection. Again, the crane can be moved around and slid into its rightful place. And then we have the final ladder that goes inside to get access to the sort of second floor of the rear tower. And that one you just simply feed up through the hole, and then it sort of goes down to the lower section, where they can either get off at this one, or they can continue on to the second level. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. As you can see, it's quite a complicated piece to put together, but once it's together, it's really nice. Lots of places to hide, lots of access for various troops, catwalks, ladders, you name it. You know, you've pretty much got it on this one. There's extra places for you to put weapons and things if you want to switch them round. Say this one comes off, so you can always switch them round to different locations to see how how different sort of it would look or feel when being attacked in different ways. So that's always really useful. Also, the top chimney can be placed where the main gun is, and the main gun can go up where the chimney is. So again, these positions here are all interchangeable, and then you can connect some of the smaller weapons to give you a completely different sort of defence, and even the main gun can go up there as well. So completely can change the whole look of the board very simply just by switching some of the things around. That's pretty much it. The only other thing to sort of point out is the mine is actually lit up with little LEDs. So to get to the how to switch them on and to power them, you remove this rock. Once that rock's removed, you'll see the little power supply inside there. So if you ever need to change the batteries, just give that a gentle wiggle out. Don't pull on the cable too much, but you'll be able to take that battery pack out completely to change the batteries. The switch is on top, so most of the time you'll just leave it in its position, and then you'll just switch the switch to power up the lights on and off. Hi, thanks very much for watching. It was a bit of an epic board construction, as you can see from the movie, so I hope you enjoyed seeing how it all came together. And thank you very much for your comments, which are always welcome, and I'm trying to reply to all of them. And for subscribing, as I know we have a few subscribers now, so if you've recently joined us, then do look at some of the other movies, as they go back quite a few years now. And I hope you enjoyed this project, and I look forward to seeing you in the future and showing you more projects.